Happy Saturday, everybody. What's going on? Everybody's doing well out there in the world, wherever you are, whatever time it is. It is 2 p.m. here in the beautiful state of Colorado, which makes it 4 p.m. out on the East Coast, and on the West Coast, 1 p.m. Welcome to Slay Security Plus. This is the community-driven live Security Plus study session led by myself, Jesse J, aka the Cosmic Cowboy. And here for the next hour or so, we're going to crush some Security Plus questions. Do a PBQ or performance-based question, help you to prepare for yours. Drop a line in chat. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how your journey's going. Maybe you're just here for the good times. Maybe you've already passed your Security Plus. Let me know about your journey. It's been quite the week. I've been on call at work, so we've gotten quite a bit of late calls lately. So I'm running out of steam today. Our beverage sponsor today is Rain. Clean energy drinks, Rain Storm. Whether you're getting ready for an athletic event, getting ready to hit the gym, maybe it's a long day in the SOC, incident response, you can always count on Rain energy drinks for that clean, long-lasting energy, a smooth finish, and it just does what it's supposed to do. Rain. Just kidding. They're not actually a sponsor, but they're sponsoring my energy level today. DJ B-Sec, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Am I going to crush them? Yes, I'm going to crush them. Muhammad Wali Momim, good to see you, my man. We'll let a few people get in class, and then we'll get started with some study sessions. Our attendance has kind of been up and down and back up and back down. I get it. It's the summertime. We have to start amping up some Security Plus as we move into the summertime. People get a break from school and their lives. You want else have the smooth finish? DJ B-Sack says whiskey. Yeah, you'd know too, man. Space Tacos, good to see you. Woo! Jesse, please tell Colorado I said hello. Hello, Colorado. Hope you and the fam are doing freaking fantastic. We are getting by. Putting one foot in front of the next one. Mike and Nim, longtime Security Plus Slayer and an alum coming by to support. Welcome, welcome. Brenda, it's been a minute. Good to see you. Hi, everyone. It's been a long day of study. It's been a day of studying for Security Plus for me. Looking forward to studying more with you all. Cool. Where did you study earlier? Did you catch Professor Rogers' Saturday to Learn? Were you able to study with his crew this morning? Let me know. BSAC finished 8 hours of yard work. Yeah, that was me last week. I need to get myself, go out there and finish. Got some grass planted, got the straw bed down, been watering extensively. Regine Franklin, good to see you. I hope you got my message on LinkedIn. I hit you up back. David, yo, good to see you, my man. A fellow CISSP holder in chat. We've got two of you with DJ BSEC. And David recently just passed his. I am studying for mine as well. I want to get that cert under my belt to have it and to prove to myself that I can take care of the business. I'd like to thank today's Slay Security Plus sponsor, Threat Locker. Listen, do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? We don't want you to worry any longer and harden your security with Threat Locker. Worldwide, companies like University of Arkansas, SAFE, Port of Vancouver, JetBlue, and many others trust Threat Locker to secure their data and keep their business operations moving. Threat Locker takes a deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity and provides a full audit of every action, whether allowed or blocked, for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based cyber hero support team. If you're interested, tell your boss, tell whoever needs to know that they can get a free 30-day trial and see how ThreatLocker can help prevent ransomware and ensure compliance. Visit threatlocker.com. Let's get started. IPv6 Cyber Techie. It's my first time today, and I'm studying for Security Plus. Well, you are in the right place, as we all know that the Security Plus is kind of that first entry-level cybersecurity, general foundational cybersecurity certification that we see on a lot of resumes. We see on a lot of job requirements. It's the DoD approved one, and typically it's kind of your first starting block, and then you get all that hands-on experience, or maybe you have the hands-on experience and your boss is making you get the security plus. Either way, welcome to the party. Let's get into it right away. We've got a PBQ to start things off, and this is really good for something like IPv6 cyber techie. Make sure that you're getting that security plus. Basically, the study requirements, what you need, the expectations, lets you know all the domains that you need to be studying. You can download. I usually have a copy. I don't know. Let me see if I have one pulled up. Professor Master. Usually we have these pulled up, ready to go. And I may not want to have one right away. But either way, go to CompTIA's, just download their requirements for the Security Plus, goes over the domains. At any rate, every one of their exams has up to 90 questions, and you're going to start off with a performance-based question, something to kind of put in your back pocket, Brenda, and IPv6 as you're preparing to take the test. It's highly recommended that you go through your multiple choice first. It'll help get the cyber security juices flowing in your brain. And sometimes some of these performance-based questions can be answered by the multiple choice that you just tested, right? And so they call these a performance-based question. They are a practical, more hands-on approach to the foundational security plus and cybersecurity concepts. Usually they will have a scenario and then a method or a modality of answering the questions. Coding Crypto Fitness, welcome back to the party. Is CISSP more for managerial roles? I would say typically it is more for those leadership and managerial roles. And you're going to find that those leadership roles and managerial roles are going to be looking for that cert. It is definitely a think like a manager. Your main concern is keep business operations moving, budget, as well as human life and safety. So instead of hands on the keyboard, think about it as you're the person who's making sure that there are people that have hands on the keyboard and what to do in those situations to keep the business operation moving. And number one, keep that money flowing in the pockets. It's all about them Benjamins, baby. All right, let's get into this PBQ. If you've been with Slay Security Plus long enough, we have actually done this one in the past, but I think it's really important because it does a nice high-level overview of some PKI or public key infrastructure concepts. And you might get something that's similar to this on your exam. You'll get a scenario. Let's go ahead and read ours. As a systems administrator at your company's help desk, the head of the department has asked you to train 2 remote employees to ensure the authenticity and integrity of their messages. Given the frequent use of public Wi-Fi, their internet traffic is potentially vulnerable to modifications by malicious actors. As part of the training, you instruct them to send a message that applies digital signature techniques, which allows you to check for other potential security issues. Requirement and considerations. Since the aim is to validate the sender's identity and message integrity, the selected cryptographic solution must offer both authenticity and integrity. The solution must be efficient enough to be practical for everyday communications while maintaining a high level of security. And the remote employees must comply with all relevant data protection regulations within the company's privacy policies. Let's get started. So, one of the first things that I recommend when you get your performance-based question and you're taking the test is it'll sometimes say, how to answer. The modality here is drop-down selectors. But I recommend clicking kind of all over the test and see what reacts. Some things will be reactive, other things won't. And I've heard horror stories of people missing their performance-based question because they didn't realize that something was that they could interact with it and use that as a way to answer, as part of how to answer the question. So Alice is going to create a SHA-256 hash of the original message. We've talked about this before. Remember, hashing is a cryptographic function that helps it helps identify the integrity if something has been changed or altered from its original state. So we have the original message. She uses the SHA-256 hash, right? Gets that hash of the message. Then what is she going to do? Is she going to perform a signing operation using her private key? Is she going to sign using Bob's public key? Is she going to sign using her public key? Or is she going to verify using her private key? Go ahead and drop answers in chat if you are sure, if you're studying, or if you're not sure, and we'll go over those. So she's already written the message. She's already hashed the message. And now she wants to do one of these 4 options. Perform a signing operation using her private key. Sign using Bob's public key. Sign using her public key. Or verify using her private key. Agent 57, good to see you. Hi, everyone. Sorry I can't be here and help out, but I'm in work. Man, I hope you're crushing it, having a slay day at work. I hope you all crush this session, and best of luck to those taking the exam. Thanks, Agent 57. Good to see you. What do we think is going to happen based on our knowledge of PKI? Maybe you've done some... Brenda, I'm looking at you on this one. Maybe coding crypto fitness. Some of you that have had a little experience studying IPv6, if you've been studying. After you've hashed the message, we know that we are signing it, but what are we going to sign it with? Alice's private key, Bob's public key, her private key, or I'm sorry, her public key, or verify. Coding Crypto says she's going to sign with her private key. Right? That sounds accurate because only she has access and knows her private key. We're going to attach that to this message to create what? A digital signature, B, a signed hash, C, a signed message, or D, a verified message. Thanks, Jesse, for your support when I reached out for that application security interview. You're very welcome. I wish I could get more into it, but you have, quite a bit of experience going in, and I think that you offer a lot to a company, so I hope that that interview went well. Mohammed Wali says the same thing, sign with her private key. Mike is saying the same thing, sign with her private key. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to sign with the private key, and what are we going to create? Are we going to create a digital signature? Are we going to create a signed hash? Are we going to create a signed message? Or are we going to verify the message? Let's look through some of these choices and identify the one that is probably most correct in this case. So we have the steps like this. She's already taken her original message and creates a SHA-256 hash of the original message, right? Then we've performed the signing using her private key to create... Well, we're not verifying the message because we're the sender. We've already created the hash, which says, hey, listen, using that, this is what the contents looks like once it's been processed through the SHA-256 hashing algorithm. This is what the message looks like. She performs a signing using her private key, and she is signing the message, but what is that called, right? Well, we're doing it in computer world, and so most likely that's going to be a digital signature. Next, Alice attaches the A, digital signature, B, private key, public key, or C, signed message to the original message. Exactly. It's important to understand because you're going to hear this term as you're studying for security and in the cybersecurity world, whether you're red team, blue team, this concept of hashing. And hashing is a way to prove integrity of a file or a message or any other length of digital information that it has not been altered from the time that it was created or hashed, right? And as an example, as a real world example, let's just look at kalilinux.org. Let's pretend I wanted to document it. Let's say we're going to get this installer image. Right here is the checksum. So this is our SHA-256 hash. This is what the Kali Linux 2025.1c distribution looks like. This is what that file, this specific file looks like once it's been hashed. You would download it, and then you can, before you run it, you can get file hash in PowerShell of that, and it's going to hopefully say the exact same thing. If it says anything different, then you know that at some point that file has been altered. The same thing applies here. She's created a SHA-256 hash of the original message, performed a signing with her private key to create a digital signature, and next she's going to attach the A, digital signature, B, private key, public key, or B, signed message to the original message. CIA is a way of CYA, which the CISSP takes it a step further, and it's the pillars of cybersecurity, which I believe is confidentiality, integrity, availability, authorization, and basically non-repudiation. So those are actually more of the 5 pillars, which we've expanded on that in the cybersecurity world, which obviously it's good to understand the CIA triad. We're taking it to that next level. Digital signature. Mike says it, right? We're taking this digital signature that we've used using our private key and attaching it to the original message to deliver to Bob. Bob goes, okay, I got the message. He verifies that he received A, the digital signature, B, the encrypted message, C, the private key, or D, the public key. I'm on call currently, so I'm double checking, making sure that I didn't get anything. Looks good. Coding Crypto Fitness coming in saying that Bob verifies he received the encrypted message. What do we think, team? Digital signature, encrypted message, private key, public key. And now that I think about it, the pillars of the CISSP are confidentiality, integrity, availability, non-repudiation, and authentication, not authorization. I might have said that earlier. My brain is absolutely fried. Hi, LinkedIn user. Welcome to the party. Encrypted message. Now let's read through this really carefully, because there's a word in here that it's like almost like a red herring, which is this encrypted message. So we've created a hash of the original message. Doesn't say that we necessarily encrypted it, right? We performed the signing using the private key to create a digital signature to attach to the original message. And all this is saying is that this message has not been altered in transit. When you get it, you should see that the message has not been altered in transit. Brenda Snack Panic says, digital signature again, maybe? I lean towards digital signature, and I understand I used to select encrypted message, and that's what I did when I first saw this question. But the more I look at it, this message isn't necessarily encrypted. We are just saying that the message has some integrity. It's just digitally signed. Exactly. This message just has a digital signature attached using her private key to say, listen, Bob, by the time you get this message, if that digital signature looks different than when I signed it, something changed, right? Something has changed with the integrity of that file. Nicole Hogan, hey, hope you're doing well. Super Mama, good to see you. Sierra Montgomery, good to see you. Been posting some good content lately on LinkedIn. I always look forward to it. Also a fellow subscriber to Hack Smarter, Tyler Ransby, a buddy of mine. Excited to see him at Wild West Hacking Fest. Right, so we've gotten this far. Now what's he going to use? He's going to verify that he received the digital signature using A, Alice's private key, B, Alice's public key, C, Bob's private key, or D, Bob's public key. Sorry. A, Alice's private key, B, Alice's public key, C, Bob's private key, or D, Bob's public key. What's he going to use to verify that this is indeed unaltered? What do you think? Throw your best answer in chat. From what we understand about public key infrastructure, we know there's a private key, public key pair. How does this make sense in our head? Right? I see you, IPv6, Cyber Techie. Which public key? Bob's public key or Alice's public key? There we go. So Coding Crypto Fitness coming in hot off the rip, saying Alice's public key, right? It's out there in internet world. When the public and private key pair were created, private key stayed with Alice, public key is out there for comparisons purposes. Yep, you guys are with the program here. We're going to verify using Alice's public key, resulting in the SHA-256 hash of the original message. So he looks at the public key, he goes, okay, sure enough, the hash is like when she hashed it up here, 607-1B45FC3. Okay. So we know that that's what the message looked like. Yep, Alice's public key LinkedIn user, you are correct. That's what we're going with as well. We'll talk a little bit more Coding Crypto Fitness on PKI and how encryption is in that. You know, specifically what we're talking about in lesson 3 of this series is cryptographic methods, which is going to include encryption, but it also includes PKI, public key infrastructure. Bob then performs a comparison of the received hash with his computed hash and finds that the computed hash is 907.1845CE3. Well, when she hashed the message initially, we got this number up here, the 6071B. Well, now that he gets it, he sees that it's actually 907.184. So that hash has changed. Remember, if you change anything in that file, whether it's a period to a comma, add a letter, a whole word, if you change one bit in that original hash, it's going to result in a different bits. It can be, or not, if you change one bit in that original file, it's going to result in a completely different hash. Therefore, can Bob confirm the message's integrity? Yes or no? Straightforward. The hashes do not compute. What do we think, team? LinkedIn user says no. Coding Crypto Fitness is saying no. IPv6 Cyber Techie is coming off the rip saying yes, we can confirm the message integrity. Let's think through this. Remember, Alice creates the SHA-256 hash of the original message, which resulted in this right here. It's like when we looked at the Kali Linux file download. She signs it, saying, yep, all right, we're good to go. Digital signature, sends it to Bob. Bob verifies that he received the digital signature. Right, exactly. Cyber Techie. This is what it looked like. Well, let's go ahead and run a file hash, either get file hash, let's say you're in PowerShell, of this message. And we see, hold up, this is different. Correct answer is no. We cannot confirm the message's integrity. Let's send it, fam. 6 out of 6 correct. Alice first computes the SHA-256 hash of the original message in this process. Then she performs a signing operation using her private key on this hash to create a digital signature attached to the original message. Using the digital signature will help verify the authenticity and integrity of this message. Upon Bob, the recipient, uses Alice's public key to verify the received signature. The verification yields a SHA-256 hash of the original message. Bob also computes his own hash of the received message and compares it to the hash obtained from the signature verification. In this scenario, Alice's original hash was 607.1b45fc3, while Bob's computed hash is 907.1845ce3. As the hashes are different, someone may have tampered with the message during transit. Thus, Bob cannot confirm the integrity of the message. When Alice created a SHA-256 hash of the original message, any suggestion that Alice signs the hash using her public key, verifies the hash using her own private key, or signs using Bob's public key are not true. Alice should use her private key to create the digital signature, not for encryption or decryption. So there's some key things there, talking about the incorrect answers. Excuse me. Next, when Alice attaches a digital signature stating that an encrypted, decrypted, or encrypted hash was attached to the original message is inaccurate. The component attached to the message is a digital signature, not the entire encrypted or decrypted message. Furthermore, Alice should not attach her private or public key to the message. When Bob verifies he received the digital signature, not the entire encrypted message, he's using Alice's public key. Alice's private key should never be accessible to Bob or anybody else other than Alice, and no one used Bob's keys in this process. Thus, any option that suggests Bob uses Alice's private key, his private key, or his public key to verify the signature is untrue. Finally, when Bob performs a comparison of the received hash with his computed hash, the answer cannot suggest that Bob can confirm the message integrity, as the hashes do not match. This indicates that the message was altered during transit. Beautiful. Let's get into our normal practice questions. Before we do that, I want to give a shout out to Dr. Jerry Ozier and the Simply Cyber team. If you are just getting into cybersecurity, maybe you've been here for a while, I think it's super important that you keep up to date with oncoming threats. The cybersecurity landscape is always changing with different threat actors, different techniques, tactics, and procedures. And also, we need to be building a community. You need to be launching those tentacles everywhere that you can, not just to build a community to use and abuse and move on, but to build a community of friends and coworkers and cohorts and people that you can count on to also give back to the community. That's why I've always been a strong supporter and a friend of the Simply Cyber community. Let's pay some homage to them, and then let's get on with the questions.
Are you feeling lost in the vast world of cybersecurity, overwhelmed by technical jargon and confusing career paths? You're not alone. That's why I built Simply Cyber. Hi, I'm Dr. Gerald Ozier. Come join Simply Cyber, your supportive and inclusive community for navigating the exciting world of cyber. There's so much to take advantage of. Master the skills you need with Simply Cyber Academy, offering in-depth courses aligned with the GRC analyst role. Never feel isolated. Connect with fellow cyber enthusiasts and professionals in our thriving Discord server. Ask questions, get feedback, share your journey. Check out the Simply Cyber YouTube channel, delivering insightful interviews. What are your thoughts around, web app pen testing as entry level? And I included bug bounty here because that's very accessible to everybody. Practical skill demos and daily cyber threat briefs, all hosted by industry experts. There's so much more to discover. Are you ready to join the community and empower your future? Visit simplycyber.io/socials for all the links and start your cyber adventure today.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Jerry Ozier. We appreciate you and everything that you do for our community. I'm playing around with some saving of files here. Let's get on with our questions. Not that one. What's going on here? Let's get on with the program, folks. We got questions to answer. Taking off on where we left off. Remember, we're in lesson 3, explaining cryptographic solutions. So far, we are 14 of 21 practice questions out of this area of the practice taken. We're at 93%. So let's continue on. Hi, guys. Welcome, Miss Sandy. Miss Sandy Tudor. Let me know if I'm saying that right. I think it's important to try and say names even if I don't get them. Ashiana, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute. Welcome back to the party. Let's go. I'm seeing some familiar faces, which I love that. A news reporter received an anonymous message containing a potential Pulitzer Prize winning story. However, the anonymous sender requested the reporter set up a communication system that enforced encryption before sending over details for the story. What is the anonymous sender trying to ensure? A, the reporter needs to show an interest in the story. B, the anonymous sender is suspicious of the reporter. C, encryption prevents the theft of intellectual property. And D, encryption allows for confidentiality. Ashiana, yeah, it's been a while since I moved to a whole different time zone. It's been hard. Nice to catch you. It's nice to catch you too. What time zone are you in now? Remember, we pass through the question, we do a pass through, then we're going to read it again a little bit deeper. A news reporter received an anonymous message containing a potential Pulitzer Prize winning story. However, the anonymous sender requested the reporter set up a communication system that enforced encryption before sending any details. Why is the anonymous sender trying to ensure that the reporter needs to show interest in the story? B, the anonymous sender is suspicious of the reporter. C, encryption prevents the theft of intellectual property. Or D, encryption allows for confidentiality. I got some water, Mike. Thank you. The on-call, the late nights, and the caffeine, I think, is zapping my vocal cords. Oh, gosh. Coding Crypto Fitness, D. Cyber Techie also says D. Other people in chat are saying D. Encryption allows for confidentiality, right? That the person who is supposed to see it is the one that sees it. The reporter needs to show an interest in the story. Well, I think the reporter is showing interest in the story, which doesn't affect the CIA triad, nor does it really have anything to do with cybersecurity. So that answer is probably not true. B, the anonymous sender is suspicious of the reporter. Maybe, and that's part of it because they just don't know. But again, this isn't really leaning into our CIA triad or anything that's security related. C, encryption prevents the theft of intellectual property. That's a maybe answer. Or D, encryption allows for confidentiality. I think that when it comes to the way this question is, hey, listen, I'm going to send this to you over an encrypted channel so that only the person who's supposed to see it can see it. Boom, correct, team. The purpose of encryption is to allow for confidentiality. It prevents third parties from listening in and knowing what communication is occurring. Encryption is important for things like whistleblower reporting. Moving on. This question says it's an expert level. Let's see how far we can get. A recent security flaw allowed a malicious actor to access sensitive data even though the data never left the server and there is full drive encryption. Which data state did the malicious actor most likely compromise? A, in transit, B, at rest, C, in use, or D, through Bluetooth? A recent security flaw allowed a malicious actor to access sensitive data even though the data never left the server and there is full drive encryption. Which data state did the malicious actor most likely compromise? A, in transit, B, at rest, C, in use, or D, through Bluetooth? This is a good one. Got a few different answers across the board. Through Bluetooth, in use. Some folks are saying no one's saying in transit or at rest. So we know that if the data never left the server, so it was never transited anywhere, we know that's not correct. Through Bluetooth, to me, doesn't necessarily correspond with this data being accessed. If there's full drive encryption, I guess the data could have been flowing through Bluetooth. We know at rest it wasn't compromised because we have full drive encryption. Split between B and C because with the full disk encryption, I'd say while it was in use with a security flaw. Of our last two answers that make the most sense to me, we know it wasn't at rest, we know it wasn't in transit. The data in use, the data that is being used in memory, was accessed through some other type of flaw. That makes the most sense to me. As C being the correct answer. Let's send it. Most likely the compromised in use. Maybe remember, hey, IPv6 cyber techie, as well as Brenda studying for your test. Remember that CompTIA gives you partial credit on some of these questions. And so in the case where you see a most or a best, that's letting you know that there's probably a good and a better answer. Through Bluetooth is the good answer. Sure, I guess you can access that data through Bluetooth, but the data in use being compromised, I think, is the better answer. Let's send it, team. Let's go. Data in use or data processing refers to the state in which data is present in volatile memory, such as random access memory or RAM, or in the CPU, registers, and cache. A security flaw allows for data exploitation while in use. Remember, the question says that data in this state, data in transit or data in motion, never left the server. Data at rest. There we go. Well, it was full disk encryption, so it doesn't look like data at rest refers to a state where the data is in some persistent storage measure. In this scenario, there is hard drive encryption, so we can't leave it there. Bluetooth would involve data transit and not relate to exposure of the data in use. And that's another way to look at it, is that the Bluetooth component of this question would suggest that that data is being moved from point A to point B. Really, the only good answer here is C, that the data was in use. They might take Bluetooth, but I think that you probably get the most credit, obviously, with the in use. All right, moving on. A coffee chain hired a marketing firm to set up a website that allows signups. However, after testing the website, an error message in the browser stating that the connection was insecure. What should the marketing firm purchase and set up so that the page shows that it is secure? A digital certificate, B, a certificate authority, C, crypto analysis, or D, a certificate signing request, or CSR. What does the website need? If you've ever gone to a website, and a lot of these websites won't even let you do it, but you go to a website in which it doesn't have a valid certificate, sometimes you'll get a warning that says it does not have a valid certificate. So what should they purchase? A digital certificate, a certificate authority? Should they purchase crypto analysis or a certificate signing request? Let's get into it and see if we can answer this question. A lot of people in class were saying a digital certificate. I'll preliminarily mark this one down. Well, if they purchased a certificate authority, I guess they could go and sign a bunch of certificates, right? Crypto analysis is this idea of seeing how we can maybe break encryption, look over how to make it stronger, but we're analyzing cryptographic techniques. A certificate signing request needs to happen in order for you to get your certificate to your server, right? So we need to use a certificate signing request, send it to the certificate authority, which will then grant you a digital certificate, which will say, hey, we're the coffee chain. We have this website. It is allowed for signups, and it is the legitimate website. All you web browsers out there, you can trust because it's been signed by a certificate authority. So the correct answer here, I believe, would be A, digital certificate. Beautiful. A digital certificate is a wrapper for a subject's public key. It contains information about the subject and the certificate's issuer. The certificate is digitally signed to prove it came from a particular certificate authority. Do you send CSR to CA or RA? I believe CA. You send your certificate signing request to the certificate authority. A certificate authority is a server that guarantees subject identities by issuing digitally signed certificate wrappers for their public keys. The incorrect answer of cryptanalysis is the art of cracking encoded information. For example, attackers use cryptanalysis to find information that others are attempting to hide. And CSR, the subject must complete a CSR, or certificate signing request, and submit it to the certificate authority to get the digital certificate. The CSR is a file containing information the subject wants to use in the certificate, including its public key. Moving on. A small enterprise needs a key exchange method to ensure a perfect forward secrecy. It needs something that it can help future-proof its security while it grows. Which key exchange method would meet the needs of the enterprise? A hash, B, Diffie-Hellman, C, AES or Advanced Encryption Standard, or D, SALT? A small enterprise needs a key exchange method to ensure perfect forward secrecy. It needs something that can help future-proof its security while it grows. While key exchange, what key exchange would meet the needs of the enterprise? Now we've read the question twice. We know what they're looking for. We know exactly what the question is asking us. A huge part of taking this exam is making sure that you are fully reading and understanding the question. A lot of times our brain wants to just fill in the rest, and sometimes that'll come back to bite you. Let's look for our incorrect answers first. Well, we need a key exchange. We know that hashing is not part of the key exchange. A digital hash is where you're just running it through a hashing algorithm to prove integrity. It's a one-way function. Once something is hashed, it cannot be unhashed. You can't decrypt a hash. We're talking key exchanges. So we know that hash is incorrect. SALT is random data that is added to a hash to prevent rainbow table attacks, which is a list of known hashes that could potentially match what you're looking for. So we know that SALT is incorrect, which leaves us with two answers, either B or C, Diffie-Hellman or Advanced Encryption Standard, AES. Diffie-Hellman is a key exchange protocol that allows two parties to securely agree on shared secret keys over an insecure network, even without transmitting the key itself. It's a fundamental building block for secure communications, particularly in technologies like TLS or SSL for web browsing and for SSH. Diffie-Hellman perfect forward secrecy is a cryptographic method that ensures the session keys are not compromised even over the long-term secrets used for key exchange are compromised. This is achieved by using ephemeral Diffie-Hellman key exchanges, where new Diffie-Hellman key pair is generated for each session. There we go, Coding Crypto. Now we're thinking. Diffie-Hellman is more used for a key exchange, and I think AES is for encrypting data. Nice. Diffie-Hellman is a key exchange. The question is asking us for a key exchange. which leaves us with the answer of Diffie-Hellman. So let's say you were reading this question on test day and you weren't 100% sure, kind of like we got into that one, and you go, well, I know Advanced Encryption Standard, AES, is a form of encryption, but I also know that Diffie-Hellman relies on a key exchange. You would know that would be enough to probably help you scoot you in that correct answer. Perfect forward secrecy mitigates the risk from basic key exchanges. PFS uses Diffie-Hellman key agreement to create ephemeral session keys without using the server's private keys. You can think of ephemeral as, I guess, made up, or they're there and then they're gone, right? So these session keys that are going to change, perfect forward, every time you have a new session, you get a new key. A cryptographic hashing algorithm produces a fixed length string from bits from an input plain text that can be of any length. The output is known as a hash or a message digest, but it is not an encryption. The AES is a commonly used symmetric cipher. Services can use AES with two key lengths, for example, AES 128, but again, we're not talking key exchanges, so thank you, Coding Crypto, for that. And then SALT, like we talked about, is just adding random data to whatever it is that you're hashing to create a different hash. Moving on, a cancer diagnostic clinic must transfer a large amount of data to a cloud vendor to migrate from its on-premises server. However, the amount of data would make the transfer over the internet take extensive time due to the limited bandwidth the clinic's internet provides. I work in healthcare, cybersecurity, I believe that. Instead, it wants to ship an encrypted copy of the data to the vendor. What type of encryption would best fit the clinic's needs? Option A, symmetric algorithm. B, asymmetric algorithm. C, plain text. Or D, cryptography. Coding Crypto Fix, can I ask a question, Mr. Cowboy? Yeah, absolutely. You can call me Jesse J, the Cosmic Cowboy. It's just a fun name. Because I like cybersecurity, but I also live out here in the desert, and it just sounds fun. Ask me the question, and if I can't answer it, well, we will consult the robot or Google and find the answer. I think it was Einstein that said, you don't need to know all the answers, you just need to know how to find them, which I think in our industry, with there being so much knowledge, so many things to learn, so many concepts to understand, yeah, it's good to have an understanding and know a lot of things, but most importantly, can you find it when you need to? Do you know how to research? Do you know how to properly use generative AI, large language models? Can you use Google in a way that gets you the answer nice and quick and efficiently? So for the question, not the last one with one, I thought the CSR was sent to an RA who then sends it to the CA. I'm just going, in our practice where we had to renew some certificates, we just sent our CSR directly to the certificate authority. After we answer this question, we can look in that before we call it a day. What do we want to use? What kind of encryption are we going to use for this information? We're going to transfer a large amount of data to a cloud vendor to migrate from its on-premises server. However, the amount of data would make the transfer over the internet take extensive time due to limited bandwidth the clinic's internet provides. Instead, it wants to ship an encrypted copy of the data to the vendor. What type of encryption would best fit the clinic's needs? A, symmetric algorithm. B, asymmetric algorithm. C, plain text. Or D, cryptography. Well, we can get rid of these two answers, plain text, because they're not going to be shipping encrypted, and plain text are opposites of each other. And cryptography is the art or the science of encrypting information. So we're torn between symmetric and asymmetric. And to very high level, go over the differences. Symmetric algorithm is where we have the same key pair, the same key encrypts and decrypts. Asymmetric uses a public key, private key to encrypt that information. This is a tough one. It's a lot of data. It's telling us that it's a lot of data, which you have to remember that asymmetric keys uses more overhead. Symmetric is typically faster. Everyone in class is going with B. I lean towards A, symmetric, but everyone in class is going with B. So let's go with B and see where we're at. Exactly. Cody Crypto says, I think A, faster, can transfer large amounts. In this scenario, the best option would be to use symmetric algorithm, as it uses the same secret key to perform encryption and decryption. This allows for efficiency, security, and speed. The asymmetric algorithm performs both encryption and decryption, but with two different but public keys and a private key pair. Remember that is going to require more time and more resources to complete that encryption and then decryption. So we're actually going to use symmetric encryption for something like this. Moving on, after deploying a mobile device management system to all of its computers, a company noticed a small subset failed to encrypt their hard drives. After inspection, those devices do not have the correct component required for the drive encryption to function. Which security component would the company need to install for drive encryption to work? A CRL, or certificate revocation list. B, a CPU, central processing unit. C, a TPM, or trusted platform module. Or D, would they need to install RAM? Whoop, 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 whoop. Let's go, fam. I love reading this. Tay Say comes in hot off the rip saying, I passed on April 24th. Thank you for your help. Let's go. Man, I love reading that. I love hearing that. Congrats on the pass. I hope that you enjoyed the journey. And even if we were just a small part of that, being able to help you, that makes it all worth it. Hey, Chuck, good to see you. Love that, he says. Good to see you, Chuck. Congrats, Taysay. Epic. All right, what do we need to install on these motherboards? Well, let's go through the answers that we know are incorrect. Well, we know that a CRL, or certificate revocation list, is a list of certificates that have either expired or are no longer welcome, right? They're no good. So we know that that's not correct. Central processing unit doesn't say anything in this question about the computer not being able to function. It probably has a CPU. We're trying to encrypt the hard drives, not the CPU. So I don't think that's correct. And remember that RAM has to do with processing information, right, for programs to use in memory to run the code and to actually studying for your AZ900. I'm horribly lost. Hey, The Pain, welcome. The Pain, you're lost in Security Plus or studying for AZ900? I personally am thinking about switching to do some live study for something else, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do next. At any rate, RAM not having anything to do with encryption. See you later, Taisei. Have a wonderful day. Leaves us with a trusted platform module, right? This is a small chip that is on the motherboard that allows for this, that stores our encryption and decryption keys for our hard drives. And so this would be the component that we need installed. Correct answer being C. The trusted platform module chip holds the cryptographic secrets and hardware state to help secure an encrypted hard drive. A certificate authority or owner can, now these are the incorrect answers. A CA or owner can revoke or suspend a certificate for many reasons. A CRL or certificate revocation list is a list of no longer valid certificates. Incorrect. A CPU or central processing unit is not directly involved with encryption of a hard drive other than processing the action of encryption. And then again with RAM, random access memory, is not directly involved with the encryption of a hard drive other than the storage of the program running the encryption, right? This says it's an expert. Let's figure it out. It's an expert level question. What is the process used to encrypt and decrypt a message? Let's see. Coding Crypto Fitness asked an important question while you guys looked over this, right? So I'm gonna read that. Here's the question: what is the process used to encrypt and decrypt a message? A, cryptanalysis, B, plain text, C, ciphertext, or D, algorithm? What is the process used to encrypt and decrypt a message? Coding Crypto, I want to speak to you for a second. You asked, how much did you get and did you find the test easier than these questions? I took the test, and I can say from my personal experience that the questions were actually very similar to this. I think of all the study methods, and I had Jason Dion, the Security Plus, the CompTIA stuff. I had the Mike Myers thing. I did the Udemy courses. I had a ton of practice questions. Between Jason Dion, Professor Messer, and these CompTIA practice questions, in my personal opinion, without a doubt, the closest to the real deal, first place is the Professor Messer Security Plus practice questions. Those, in my opinion, and really in a lot of other people's opinion, were the absolute closest to the real deal as far as difficulty, syntax. I remember seeing some of the questions that they were remarkably close to the Professor Messer questions. I also found that these questions are pretty close to the CompTIA Security Plus ones. I think they're pretty good. They do a good job. They kind of let you see the way that CompTIA words things. But everything I used, the Professor Messer stuff, was absolutely the closest. And we'll use some of his questions maybe next week. Ashiana says, the test was really similar to the sample questions and question dumps I found. I would say be careful of question dumps. And I don't know if you're talking about question dumps where people, first of all, question dumps and brain dumps are unethical. And technically they're, if you're not supposed to really use them or even do whatever you want to study, right? I'm not Big Brother here. I'm just saying be very careful of using brain dumps or question dumps where people take the exam and then they try and then they Remember, a brain dump is just, or a question dump is somebody who takes the test and they get online and they try and remember the questions and they try and dump the questions out for other people to study from. You can get a lot of trouble that way. A, because CompTIA is going to change the questions. They know that people are out there using brain dumps. And B, it's important to understand the concept. If you memorize the question and CompTIA changes it, well, then you're screwed because you just spent all this time memorizing a question. No practice test question is going to be perfect. You need to understand the concept of what's going into what is the question asking you, so that you can answer the question, whether it's Professor Messer or CompTIA stuff. So be really careful of brain dumps. Yes, you might be getting a few questions that are exactly from the test. What if CompTIA changes the test? What if you don't get that question on the test? Remember, CompTIA has a variety of Security Plus exams. Some have 5 PBQs in the beginning and less multiple choice. Some only have 1 PBQ at the beginning and a whole bunch more multiple choice. And of those multiple choice questions, CompTIA has different editions, so you're not guaranteed to even get a question from a brain dump. The best thing you can do is understand the concepts, and the best way to do that is through repetition, studying, and we've talked about this in other live streams. Take a practice test, find your weak spots, study your weak areas first and foremost. There's no point in studying what you're already good at because you're already good at it, it's just wasting time. Study your weak spots first, get those, and continue to take practice tests until you're starting to until you even out. I think Pocket Prep is a really good way of doing that. Pocket Prep is an online application that you can use on your computer or on your phone, taking a break, sitting on the toilet, taking a work break, whatever. You can take those Security Plus questions and you can actually map them out and you can study your weak areas. So highly recommend you use that. Yeah, and Professor Messers are the closest to the real deal. Coding Crypto, if you'd like to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I'd be happy to assist you a little bit in some one-on-one stuff just to get you polished up. Find me on LinkedIn or on Discord. If you reach out to me, I'd be happy to set aside some time and help you study. Or anybody that's out here that's studying, if you want to reach out and just do a more intimate study session, feel free to do that, and we can hammer home some of the harder concepts or issues that you're dealing with. All right, what is the process used to encrypt and decrypt a message? A, cryptanalysis, B, plain text, C, ciphertext, or D, an algorithm? Well, plain text is not the process used to encrypt and decrypt messages, so we know that that's not correct. This is kind of a plain text. Coding Crypto says plain text is what you encrypt, right? So, hello world. Ciphertext is what you do, is what you will decrypt back to plain text using an algorithm. What is the process used to encrypt and decrypt a message? According to CompTIA, cryptanalysis is trying to break encryption. They better not be throwing us a curveball here and say that cryptanalysis is the process. Ciphertext is what we get after we've encrypted it, using an algorithm, right? That's the process that we use, is we use an algorithm to encrypt, and then we have the algorithm to decrypt the message. This is a good one. It makes us think, and I like ending on that. I believe the correct answer here is D, algorithm. Remember, cryptanalysis is the study of how to break encryption. Plain text is what we are encrypting. Once we go through the process of using an algorithm to encrypt the plain text, we get ciphertext, and that process uses an algorithm. Correctamundo. An algorithm refers to the operations that transform plain text into ciphertext with cryptographic properties, also called a cipher. There are symmetric, asymmetric, and hash types of algorithms. Remember, hashing isn't necessarily a form of encryption, but it is a cryptographic method. Cryptanalysis, which we've talked about, is the art of cracking encoded information. Plain text refers to the data that is not encrypted. This is the stuff that we want to encrypt. And then ciphertext refers to the data that went through the process of being encrypted and now is ciphertext. Human eyes cannot read it. Awesome, ladies and gentlemen. I've never seen cryptanalysis in all my revision. Yeah, I don't know. Let me, oops, not that. Get rid of that. Don't want you, Chrome. I don't even like Chrome. One minute, fam. I'm looking for. It's been a minute. We can navigate and find it. We don't want the 601. I found that the best one is actually from it says .jp. No, that's what do you call it when exam objectives. That was the word I was looking for. Exam objectives. And the best place to find them is actually this CompTIA. I know it's the Japanese one without having to enter information. Oh, this is 601. We don't want that. Very good. Will they change? Go to their website, fill in your email. This is my fun email. If y'all are watching this, I don't really care because that is my throwaway email. Blah, blah, blah. Boom. Here we go. 701 exam objectives. Olive don't like this. Can I just download it? Do not like the way CompTIA. See, CompTIA was recently sold to a private equity firm, so they're already kind of changing how they do things. Download the official exam objectives. I have them somewhere. This is driving me nuts. It's like I gotta find them before we get off this stream or I'm gonna lose my mind. Not on the desktop, are they? There we go. There we go. Here's our exam objectives. It talks you through the test. Right? Let's see if cryptanalysis is anywhere in there. I don't think cryptanalysis is in here. But what I was getting to, right? Before we go, I gotta get going. I gotta play guitar tonight. Before we go, download this, find the Security Plus exam objectives, take a practice test, and then it's super important you only really study for the things that are listed. This is what CompTIA is going to test you from. Is there a chance they could pull from something else? Yes, but for the most part, this is your Bible for what to study for. Sure, you could try and just study for everything that is cybersecurity related. Remember, there is no first prize for studying. There is no first prize for, there's no certificate for who studied the longest. We want to take this exam, get this certification under our belt so that we continue on with getting hands-on experience. Remember, the Security Plus cert is just going to look good to HR. It shows that you could take this test and pass it. After that, they want that hands-on experience, whether it's from previous employment, whether that is from your own home labs, volunteer work. That's how one of the ways that I was able to get experience for my resumes was doing volunteer work for nonprofits, churches, small businesses, whether it's running vulnerability scans, helping them with their vulnerability management, all the way to showing them some phishing, just different, phishing mitigations. There's so many things that you can do to help build real world experience, especially if you're just trying to get in and you don't have a full-on IT job or a SOC analyst job. Volunteering is a phenomenal way to get that experience. Got to be careful, volunteering to do a pen test on somebody. Remember, we get into some legal issues there. And so I tried to keep it light when I was volunteering for different organizations. Yeah, cryptanalysis isn't anywhere on here. And you don't see it in Professor Messer's exams either. All right, team, I got to go. I got to get ready. I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for spending some of your Saturday with me, Jesse J, the Cosmic Cowboy, doing some online studying for our Security Plus. We'll be back next week from a remote location to help you study for your Security Plus. Remember, check out our session sponsors, simplycyber.io. Help build that community. The Daily Cyber Threat Brief every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check out Threat Locker, their free 30-day trial. To all of you out there in the internet world, thanks for joining me for this Saturday edition of Slay Security Plus.